Yes, if you notice, of course, there are places you'll be able to. I like it. There's Annie saying not Neema was quarantining at a beach.
I wish I was.
You were sharing that it's part of a wonderful family that has changed wonderful things on her. And so lessons for all of us in this season. Anyway, allow us to pray and then we start off. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to just have a time together as a Marisha community. We thank you for this season, unprecedented for sure, globally, and even for us as families, and as we desire to see our children rise up and grow to become young godly leaders. So we dedicate this season to you, that you're using it to grow us in many ways as families and also for our children. And Lord, we dedicate even our facilitator to you today, even as she speaks to us. May you grow our minds, may you grow us individually for our children, for the school, and even as we ride the wave in this season towards your greater purposes. In Jesus' name we do pray and truly believe. Amen.
Amen.
Let me just do a quick intro again, because I've seen that a number of parents who've joined us who are not with us last week. Neema Kamau is a friend of Marisha for quite some time. Those of us who've been with us for quite some time, she came and equipped us on an Engage Your Child platform. We usually have, once a year, a program to equip parents on how to engage children at home. And so she was our first facilitator a few years ago. And so she's been a friend of Marisha for quite some time. And so she's passionate. Her professional background has been in banking, but then she's eventually stepped out into the space of family and education. And so she runs a couple of platforms. Her primary engagement is called Elimubox, which equips parents and families and gives resources. I believe we sent you the links on email and you received them. And so we invite you to continue doing that. And so that's her engagement at the moment. Together with a few other things. Also, she had been running a program called Zazi. We sent you some of the Facebook links. But the primary thing I think I'd say is she's very passionate about seeing parents engage their children at home and being able to grow them, not just academically, but holistically. And so we believe she's a friend of Marisha in the long term. So I think that's basically it. Anything that Audrey, I would also want to mention, even as we start off? Yes. Because I'm so used
Still waking up.
Many parents were telling us that 7 a.m. is a bit early. We settled on it for those parents also who are at work. And so some of them actually rush to work early. And so they are engaging from work. And then at the end of the platform, at the end of the webinar, then they can be able to continue with their work. Yes, so I know she'll probably share much more towards the end. So Neema, take it away. As a parent, of course, you can chat and throw questions there, but I know Neema will be able to lead us through. So Karibu, Neema.
All right, thank you. Good morning, parents. I hope you're all well. Yes, enjoying the early morning start. For me, I prefer the early morning starts, especially because, when you have a family, it is easier to get it done, and out of the way in the morning before, you see everybody else behind me wanting to know what mommy is doing. So thank you, Tom and Audrey, for this opportunity. I really do enjoy engaging with parents and just sharing from what I have and, just equipping you with information as well as letting you know what Elimubox has to offer. All right, so I'll just share my screen in a moment. Okay, I hope you can all see that. Just give me a minute. Okay, I hope you can all see that. So my presentation today is really just about how to make it work at home. In this season when you're home with your children, you're going to be helping them with their schooling. How do you make it work for you? What are some of the tips that you can use in this season? All right, so part of in our discussion today, I'll just be talking about how to maximize your space We all have different spaces to work with, but I believe it is possible to maximize it and make it work for you and for your children. In terms of support, what are some of the essential supplies that you need? What are some of the resources that you can invest in? And then in terms of supplementing, what are some of the additional activities that you can do with your children, just to bond, aid in their learning, and just to have fun as a family. All right, and then we'll have our Q&A. But as we go along, please feel free to post your questions in the chat, and then we'll just pick it up after that. Okay. So in terms of space, one of the things that I've always found important is to designate your working area. It could be your living room, it could be your dining room, but once you're able to designate the area, even for the children, whenever they come in and, they have activities to do, they always know that this is the space that, we're going to work in. For me, it was always just my, living room. It's a comfortable place. There are cushions to sit, so it was always just a nice space for everyone to just congregate and, work there, whatever they want to do. In terms of protective material, especially if you're doing crafts, you can have like a plastic mat. You can have for us, we've always had this big Masai blanket that, even if paint gets on it, glue, whatever it is, we're fine, because that is our protective material. In terms of seating, it would be nice, especially now in this season that the children are working from home, to maybe have a small plastic table, the kind that you just find in the supermarkets, and a small plastic chairs, so that even as the children are sitting down to do their work, it is at a comfortable place, something that's at their level. When mine were younger, we'd struggle with sitting at the dining room because, the chairs are lower, the table is higher. So even in terms of writing, they're not in a comfortable space, a space that's comfortable enough for them to write. You can just get a small plastic table, something inexpensive. I always say these things, you don't have to break the bank. Just get something inexpensive that will work for you. One of the things I also had when, we were homeschooling, let me just find it for you, was something like this that you can also get done. It's called a lap desk. So it's just something made of, it's like wood, and then it has a cushion on the back. So what it does is that it's something that the child can put on their lap. As they sit down, they put it on their lap, and then because it's a wooden surface, it's hard, so they can write. So for those easy days when, people are tired of sitting at the small table, a lap desk is nice, for them to sit and do their work at. In terms of your sitting space, yes, I've just talked about that, your cushions, your plastic chairs, your tables. And then finally, in terms of storage, I always found that, as your children grow, you tend to collect a lot of material, and as we are going into the next slide talking about supplies, you'll see all the different things that would be good to have at home, to keep your children busy, even with the work that they get sent. They have resources to work with. Excuse me. So in terms of storage, even for me, this is something that's evolving. You find little bits here and there that help you. So I've always found it important to invest in, small plastic containers. If you go to House of Leather, you will find lots and lots of different things. So maybe I can just show you a couple of things. So, something like this, you can see it has a lot of different things I'll be showing you later. Just small plastic baskets. Maybe you can use that to put all your colors, your crayons, have small lunch boxes like this, for beadwork and all the little things that, you don't want to be rolling all over the place, especially if you have younger ones, and you want to keep away material that would be a choking hazard. Let's see what else I have found. I found things like this at House of Leather, that are really nice for just organizing, your markers, your felt pens, colors, anything that, your usual writing material. So get creative, figure out what works for you. Have, having lots of closed boxes so that, once the children are done, it also helps them to be able to tidy up easily, without your intervention. And then they always know there's a place for everything. So, once they're done with the colors, this is where we put them. Once we're done with, whatever other material, it goes in this box, and then it helps you to, stack away things neatly. So I just encourage you to get creative with your storage. There's lots of solutions available that are also not expensive. You can also use baskets, kiondos. In this part of the world, we have lots of, pretty creative, nice things that can help you with that. All right. So in terms of material, basic supplies are important, for even just keeping the children busy. They will always ask, can I color? Can I draw? So I've always found it handy to have, just a ream of printing paper constantly in the house. So, you want to color, fine, we grab out a paper, you have crayons, you have coloring pencils, you've got markers. You don't have to buy the super expensive ones because they will always get lost or ruined. So just buy things that you can keep replacing. And then in terms of painting, you can have paint brushes, you can have paint. There's lots of options available, say at places like Textbook Center. I find it handy to just have your primary colors, and then, if you want different colors, you can get the children to mix and, put in whatever they want to have. So we've talked about the crayons, the colors, the felt pens. Chalk is also a good one because then they're able to, if you go outside and they want to draw, outside on the stones, they can draw there and, you can wash it off. Glue is always a good one for when they want to just make stuff in the house. And then, of course, a pair of child-friendly scissors, the ones that have a blunted top, so that then they're not, hurting themselves. Okay, so in terms of recycled material, I've always found it handy also to have things like plastic bottles. I'll just show you in a minute some of the things that you can do with those. Sorry, just give me a minute. Okay, so having things like plastic bottles, I'll just show you some of the things that, I normally have a basket somewhere where I save all these things, just to help with the activities and things to do. So you can see on my bottles, I've put some stickers. So this is for an activity, where they can, open up the top. They can put in things like pom-poms. So, when you're asking them to sort with color. So for example, this one is, the one is blue. So, they can pick a blue pom-pom, toss it in the bottle, and you can leave it there, for them to help them with that sorting. I have also found it handy to have things like toilet paper rolls. We collect them for a variety of things. You can make puppets with them. You can also use them for sorting. So, things like this, you can, cover them with your colored paper and the children can, do a sorting exercise. You could even put numbers where you're getting them to count, different items, and you put a number there and you tell them, so, put it in the toilet paper roll, and, you can put it in a plastic container like this, or, you can stick it on a cardboard and, get a bit creative with some of the things that they can do. Okay, there are things also like egg trays. We normally use this for our fine motor skills exercises. So maybe I'll just do a quick demo. I hope you can be able to see me. So here in this tray, maybe I can just bring that down. Here I have a little plastic plate with pom-poms. So one of the things I usually ask my 3-year-old to do is, using a pair of tweezers like this, or a smaller one like this, is pick up the pom-pom and put it in the egg tray. And that is normally quite a good activity for developing your fine motor skills. You can take it to another level and put stickers at the bottom of the tray, and ask them to create a pattern, with the different colors of pom-poms. So just something to engage them and keep them busy. Cartons, of course, are normally very handy, for just making up different things. And I've mentioned the toilet paper rolls. Some of the other things we normally recycle are these plastic plates. They're handy for sorting out your different activities for the child to do. So, you can have a plate where you say, here are your pom-poms, here are your tweezers, this is your fine motor skills activity. In the next one, you can say maybe they're doing some sorting of beads or something like that, or lacing of beads. So these are handy just for helping you to organize the space for the children. In terms of craft supplies, I've mentioned some of them, in some of the things I've shown you. So things like popsicle sticks. I have a couple here. Here you go. So, you can have them as colored, or as plain. These are always handy for doing different crafts. You have things like pipe cleaners. Let me just pull those out. Okay, here. So here I have, let me just show you this one. This one, we had actually made it into a set of beads, with a set of beads. So these are pipe cleaners. They're normally just long, fluffy wires, and you can use them for a variety of things. So you see, like this one, we had done some beadwork, with my daughter. Again, these are very good fine motor skills activity. This one, we had done some beading as well with some foam beads. These, you can find them online on our store as well. They're good for beading. You can sort them in color, whichever way you want to sort them with the child. The thing to just make sure with pipe cleaners is always make sure there's a very, you've sorted out the ends, because they can be a bit sharp, and you have to be careful with that. Okay, and then there's things like googly eyes, pom-poms. The pom-poms are here. You can get them in, there you go. You can get them in different colors. They're great for, making crafts, or even just for doing different kinds of activities. Now this foam, here you go. So these are foam sheets. You can use them for different crafting activities as well. This felt, let me just get my felt. Now the reason I really like felt, because it's very, very versatile. You can make it, if you want it a bit stiffer, you can use the material they use for backing collars. You can get that from Biashara Street. For us, I'll just show you a little activity we made. So what I did is I got a foam sheet, a felt sheet, sorry, and I sewed some buttons on it. I don't know if you can see those clearly, because my daughter was in the phase where she was really enjoying buttoning. And then I used a different color to just cut different shapes for her. And then now she would use this to do her buttoning. You know, so she really enjoyed that, and it's really helped her with, you know, getting to grips to use to buttoning and unbuttoning things. So maybe let me button a few and I can show you what that looks like. Yeah, you see, there you go. So, you know, there was a circle, a diamond, there's a square somewhere here, a rectangle. So, you know, as we're learning about the different shapes and colors, she's also, you know, doing this activity where she's buttoning. The felt is always a bit light. So as I've said, you can back it up, you know, using the material they use for collars, and that will stiffen it for you and, you know, make this something that you can use over and over again, especially when you have younger children. All right. And then there's, we've talked about the tweezers. I've shown you, you know, different examples. These ones are bigger, you know, for the smaller children who are still practicing their grip. These ones are smaller, you know, for the older ones who have a, you know, better fine motor skills. And then there's the beads. So, you know, beads, you can get them in different shapes and forms, you know, like, sorry, this camera, like these ones, you know, that we use for doing our hair. You know, you can use them for developing those fine motor skills. I'll just show you something else that we have. This is just string, but it comes with a tip right here. So what this is for is that, you know, as you give children lacing activities, you know, they're able to lace easily with this. This is another thing that we did. This is just, sorry, there's a bit of glare there, but this is just a mirror card. And what I did is I just cut it into shapes, used a hole puncher, you know, to make holes. And so my daughter can use this now for lacing, you know. So if I just do a bit of that, there, you know, you're able to see the lacing. Again, a very easy, you know, activity to do at home, not expensive, but these are some of the activities now that just keep them busy for a while, you know, and when you organize them in, you know, different plates, then they're able to know this is what I need to do. And after that, you know, you can even just use a lunchbox and just, you know, store everything there ready for the next time that you need it. You can still use this tipped yarn for lacing with beads. So, you know, the smaller beads I had shown you earlier, so, you know, they can lace that as well. Okay, and if you also have big buttons, you know, they can use that for lacing as well. Okay, some of the other supplies that you can use are pegs. You can see these ones are nice and colored. We actually just bought plain wooden pegs and painted them. So of course, that's another fun activity you can do with them. You know, you just get your basic acrylic paints and you paint them. And we use this for different activities. So for this one, what we did was we made some cards, you know, where the child is supposed to count how many dots are on the lady, how many spots are on the ladybird, and then they would use the peg to mark, you know, and that becomes an activity that they can work on their own. All right. So, you know, you can have this in many different ways. You know, you can have, you just need to print it out. If you're not able to laminate it, that is fine. You can even just stick it on a piece of cardboard, you know, cut it out, put it in a box, you know, like I've done here with all your pegs, you know, and then that's an activity that you can do, you know, you can have the children do on their own.
Hi, Neema. You know you're well.
Right.
Yes. Hi, Neema.
Sorry?
I know you are well into it. Could you full screen your screen, your video screen, so that the parents are able to see some of the resources?
Oh, okay. Let me. Oh, they're only seeing me as a
small screen.
As a little.
Some of them.
Oh. Okay. Wow, let me figure this out. Give me a second. Okay, hold on. I need to figure out how to do this side by side thing. No, that's not it. Okay, sorry, give me a second. Let me stop the sharing of the presentation. Then I can try that again.
Yeah, and then you can just raise some of the key resources. You don't have to go through all of them. Just to
okay, sure.
Then we move forward.
Okay. No, am I back to?
Yep, you're back.
Yep. I'm back to a small screen. Okay. Anybody know how to? Let's see. Hide video.
Done was okay.
Sorry?
The previous setting you had done was the right one.
Oh, I think I had actually stopped sharing my screen.
That's all. When you stop sharing, and then that should be.
Oh, hold on. I think there's somebody giving me a tip. Oh, okay. So I think stop sharing your screen. All right. Okay, let me just stop the sharing. Is that better?
Now they have it. No, you can just now go through some of the resources quickly.
Oh, okay. Okay, no problem. Sorry. Okay, so sorry, I'm just trying to move the chat to the corner. Okay, let me start with the felt. I think I was just showing you. So this was just a piece of felt that I cut out, and then I sewed some buttons on it. Just to help my daughter with her buttoning, because she was in a phase where she just loves to button and unbutton, things. She's 3 years old now, about 3 actually, next month. And then what we did was I cut out some shapes. I tried to stick to the primary colors, just because we're also doing some color recognition. And then I sewed the buttons on this, and so this is just an activity for her to button and unbutton as she learns her shapes and as she learns her colors. So this is just a simple activity you can do at home. I was saying that if the felt is too light, you can iron on the material they use for backing collars, so then that becomes a bit stiff. And we have a pack of buttons here, different sizes, different colors that you can get as well. The other thing I was showing you was the tipped yarn that they can use for lacing. It's just a string, but it comes with a plastic tip that's hard, so that then they can use this for lacing. This I was saying was some mirror card, that we have available on our store as well. And then I just punched some holes around, and she uses this for lacing. And then the same yarn, you can use that for your beads, the smaller beads, the bigger beads. It's a good fine motor skill also for developing the hand-eye coordination, and just gripping, small things that really helps the children. The other thing I can quickly show you was the pegs, the wooden pegs. So what we did with these is that we painted them. We just bought your regular wooden pegs from the supermarket, and then we painted them with different colors, just to make it fun and engaging for the child. And then we made these little cards, which help the child, with counting and number recognition. So, they count the number of the dots on the ladybird, and then, when they get the right number, they use the pegs to indicate, what the number is. So I was saying this, if you don't have a laminator at home, you can always just print this out, paste it onto a cardboard, to make it a bit stiff, and then the child can still go ahead with the activity. All right. Then this was just the foam beads, that you can use for lacing. You can either use the tipped yarn or you can use a pipe cleaner. These are safe, they're soft, the beads, they're colorful, and they can be used for a variety of activities, either sorting, even with the tweezers or the lacing, or even just for general play. Okay. Right, I'm not sure, I don't think there were any other resources. Just a few, interesting things we've also just done as well. These are, we actually get these from a tree that is in our neighbor's backyard, and these just keep falling into our compound. So, the kids picked them up and said, okay, we want to paint them. So, you can paint them with regular paint, you can spray paint them, and then just use them for different crafts. So, we're always just trying to look out for just the random things we can find around the house, find outside, for fun crafts and fun activities that we can do with the children. Let me also just show you just some interesting storage boxes that you can get, that are easy to stack and easy to put things and just organize things around your house. As I said earlier, you can just get creative with the different storage materials that you can get. All right, let me just see. Are there any questions so far? Maybe it would be also mention, okay, which of the resources? All right, so all of the resources that I have shown you are available on our site on Elimubox. So for those that are not yet there right now, they will be there probably later in the afternoon, but everything is available from Elimubox, and you can just purchase it directly from there. Okay, one of the interesting things on painting, we use these as well. They're called paint swatters. So if you look at them, they're very flexible. They are almost like fly swatters. So, you dip them in the paint and you hit them against the surface. So either drawing book paper, they're fun for painting. And of course, you can see they have different shapes and colors. So also great for reinforcing the different things that the children are learning. Okay, so maybe I'll just quickly go back to my presentation. Let me just share that. Okay, so that's just in terms of the materials and the resources that are available. Okay, sorry, just give me a minute. All right, so in terms of supplementary activities, there's lots of different games that you can do with your children. Sorry, just give me a minute. Okay, so there's lots of different games that you can do with your children. I always encourage parents to, have a deck of cards at home, and I'll send Audrey, a link with different card games that you can make up with your children. Cards and dice are always very, very handy to have because there's different things that you can do with them. You don't necessarily have to have a board game to play with the dice, but there's different, types of games that you can play with those. I'll just show you a couple of the other games that we have available on Elimubox. This one is a Monopoly card game. It's a lot of fun for the children. From age 7 upwards can understand and play this one. And then we have things like these that are just good for recognition of, animals. We have some for numbers, and then we also have storytelling cards, that you would, they have different characters, and you can play like a storytelling game with the children, and, depending on the character you get, you make up a story as you go along. And, that's really fun and creative for the children. Just to get their creative juices running and being able to tell a story, being able to, put together a sentence, sentence construction. You'll be practicing a lot of things with them through those games. There's also physical games that you can play with the children, have a skipping rope, have a ball that you can make, and, just go out and, get playing with them. I'll also be sharing a couple of videos, ideas of games that you can, make up and play with your children. It doesn't even have to be outdoors. Right now the weather is a bit, it's wet. So it's things that you can also do indoors. Some of the things I've seen my children coming up with now, now that everyone is home and they're bored, until now they've gotten creative. You can play blind man's bluff, where you blindfold yourself, and try to find different things. You can play pin the tail on the donkey. So, have something that you post on the wall, and you blindfold someone and they're trying to pin the tail on the donkey, or, whichever way you choose to remix the game. It's definitely a lot of fun for the children. Crafts, I've talked about, the different craft material that we have, and you can do just different crafts with the children, with all those resources that you have. And as I've said, you don't have to break the bank, just have your basic things at home, save material that you can recycle, and then do different crafts with the children. I have a couple of books as well. On our site, we have books like this, art that moves. So, different things you can make, with crafting material that you have in the home. Pinterest is also always a very good resource for things that you can do. Science experiments, on our channel Zazi, that's what we were doing, just showing you the different science experiments that you can do with your children at home with material you have in your home. So, have your baking soda, your recycled plastic bottles, balloons, and there's so many things that you can show the children with just those kinds of things. I just want to show you some of the other different books. So like this one, it's doing experiments with a hand lens. That's just a small magnifying glasses you can get at textbook center. This one is just showing you different types of wheels that you can make with just cardboard and popsicle sticks, and again, just materials that you can find in your home. Okay, I can see a question here. What types of paints are wall friendly? Okay, I am not sure what, we've always just used these Acron, this tempera paints. What I've always done, I think these are easily washed off, but it would take a while to sort of wipe them off. One of the things I've always done is, especially for the younger children, is to if they're working with paints, just put an old t-shirt on top of the clothes that they already have, and as I mentioned, protect your surface either with a blanket or, if you have a plastic mat, just to avoid spills. I'll be talking about some of the basic do's and don'ts a bit later, but one of the things you realize with children is your area will get messy, there will be spills, and that's okay, because the children are having fun, they're playing, they're learning. So in this season, you also have to be a bit easy. If you have a carpet that you really don't want to get dirty, just sort of move it aside, but let the children at least just feel free in their home environment, not to feel restricted, not to feel, afraid that they'll spoil your, your carpet or your walls or your floor. I always say these things can be cleaned, and when they're older, you can have all these things that don't have to be messed up. But for now, it's always important for your children to feel comfortable and free in their space at home. Let me just show you one other craft that we've done. This one is it's a tambourine that we made. Let me just put it the right way. This one was painted for us, so this is not my painting or a child's painting. We just had a young lady who was very passionate about art do this for us for our sample. But it comes as a plain, cardboard. It comes with the bells and with the string. So, after you've painted it or decorated it in the way you want, then you can string it together, and you have a music instrument that the child can play with at home. All right. Any other questions on the crafts and the supplementary activities before I go to the last slide? Okay, let me just go to my last slide. Sorry, one very important activity that I have left out there is reading. This is a great season for you to be able to just have time to read with your children, share different books with them, and also to just help them practice on their reading. So I'll just be showing you a couple of books that we have available. Just give me a minute. Okay, so we have books at different, reading levels. Sometimes parents are always asking, how do I know which is the right book for my child? One of the things I always say is, okay, as for the beginning readers, of course, they're still blending their, learning how to, letter recognition, sound recognition, and then being able to blend their 3-letter words. So for that, we have a few readers that, are just the plain 3-letter words. Those are good for practice. But at that point, also picture reading is good because it also helps with the comprehension. Can they understand the story? Can they understand what's happening? Are they even able to just retell the story by looking at the pictures? So that is still part of learning how to read. Then as they progress and they're able to blend the 4-letter words, they've learned their sight words, then they're able to move on to more advanced books. So we have books like these that are, just short chapter books. I'll just show you some of the some of the text. These would definitely be for readers who are a bit more confident, but still need the pictures to make the text a bit more exciting for them. And then we have books like these. These are actually just Julia Donaldson is an amazing author. I mean, her books are really, really good. And so what they've done is that these have just been made into like a reader. So for more confident readers to read. But again, some of these are some of the books you can still buy and read with your children. These are also a different, kind of reader. Again, still with the pictures, but just a shorter book. For children who are still practicing their reading. We also have non-fiction readers. So, as a child is reading, they're still learning, some facts about, geography, science. So you can see like these have got more pictures and less text. So these are for beginners, so just short sentences, and then you go to the more advanced ones like these, that have, sorry, just one moment, that have longer sentences, but the child is still learning. And then, there's another level here. So, a bit more advanced as well. They have more vocabulary and, longer sentences. Okay, so that's on the readers. On the fun books, we have big picture books like these. These come with a CD, so you can download that. Put it on a flash disk. You can play it in your car. Once we are back, up and about. We have very many different types of picture books. If you just go onto our site and look at picture books, you will find some of the different ones, that we have. We have bigger ones like these that are board books, so for the younger ones who are, still learning how to handle books, you can get those as well. Okay, and then for the really younger ones, we have things like these that are cloth books. So these are cloth books. You can see they have a lot of crinkly material, so squeakers. So just for the children who are, really young, this, if they put it in their mouth, it's washable. You can keep it clean for them. And then, of course, they're excited about the sounds, the texture. Yes, and then we also have bath books. So books they are plasticky, so you can put them in the bath. So as you're giving them a bath, you can read with them as well. Okay, in terms of other material, we have lots of jigsaw puzzles as well. Like these come with big pieces that, children can manipulate. Like this one is 45 pieces. We have up to about 60 pieces. And then for the older ones, we have up to 500 pieces. So, these are just some ideas of interesting things you can use in your home to just supplement. I always say these are small investments you make very slowly, but eventually you find you've built up quite a bit in your home. Okay, so just to my final slide. Okay, just some basic do's and don'ts, some tips for, this season as you're working with your children. One, I think we had talked about it last week, routine. Routine is very, very important. So just ensure that, your children at least wake up more or less around the same time, especially on the days when they're going to be doing some schoolwork. Put them down at the same time, every evening. Possibly on the weekends, you could do a movie with them. But just keeping up with their routine will really, really help them to just, have a semblance of normalcy in this season. The second thing is patience. You're at home with your children for an extended period of time. Children are always very curious, will always ask very many questions. For some, they also get antsy because, they're not also used to being cooped up in one place for so long. So patience is very, very important. You will be stretched, that I can guarantee you. But sometimes it also helps maybe if you take some time out for yourself, just to recharge your batteries. But yeah, in this season, we will be stretched, but we will also learn a lot of patience. The third thing is perfectionism, for some of us also, let me just go back to that. Sorry, just give me a minute. For some of us who are perfectionists, especially when it comes to, written work, this is a time when we will learn that something is better done than done perfectly. So they may not be writing their A's the way they should. Sometimes even just their letter formation is terrible. But this is a season to also just help them learn. And I always admire the teachers there. I find teachers very, very good at, taking the children at the level they're at and helping them to work to where they need to get to. So for us as parents, let us not try and push them to be too perfect, because what also happens is that the children become afraid of making mistakes. And become hindered even sometimes in their creativity and their creative thinking. So even if they're writing or telling a story, it doesn't have to be perfect. The sentences may not be complete, the spelling may not be correct, but cut them some slack, give them some leeway, because they're also on a journey of moving to the next level. Positive reinforcement, very, very important. Encourage them, motivate them, give them the high fives, when they've achieved, even if it looks like something really small, but that helps to spur them on to, keep trying and until they get to where they need to get to. Number 5, yes, avoiding competition among siblings. For those with multiple children close in age, for me, this is a constant reminder to them that even as they're doing their work, it's not about who finishes first, it's not about who gets it right, it's not about who does it perfectly. You have to be able to run your race, stay in your lane, run your race, do what you need to do. Don't always be looking over your shoulder, to try and see, am I fast? Am I doing it the best? Get your work done in the best way possible. Be your own competition. You don't have to, compete against each other. And then almost the last one, parental teamwork. So work together as a team as parents. Sometimes it's easier to let the parent who maybe enjoys that, working with the children, or who has more patience, or, carry the bulk of the work. But this is a season also to work as a team as parents. I always say, especially when the dads get involved, children take things quite seriously when dad is also, taking it seriously. I always say sometimes moms, we're always talking, we're always telling the children, do this, do that. But when dad checks in, then the children know this is serious. So I'd like to especially encourage the dads, please be involved, do games with them, read them stories, help them with schoolwork. It really, really makes a difference for the children. And then finally, just make it fun. Sometimes these things, it's never that serious. So have fun, doing different activities with them. Let them not remember this season as, something maybe that was scary, that was boring, but let them have fun memories of all the things that they were able to do together with you, and as a family. All right, so that's the end. Thank you very much. My website is on there. Tom and Audrey will share it again. So just feel free to go onto our site, check out, all the different things that we have. Some of the resources may not be up there yet, but everything I've shown you is available, and by the end of the day, we'll have that there. All right, so that is it from me. That's it from me. So any questions? Over to you, Tom and Audrey. Okay, I have a question here. Do you have specific resources for left-handed children? I don't have any at the moment. I don't have any at the moment. I know especially things like scissors. normally a challenge for children who are left-handed. But if you have anything specific that you need, you can always drop me an email. I think, Audrey, you can share your number. You can drop me a text, and I can help you find it. Right now, I think there's a few challenges with restocking, because cargo is not as regular as it was. So possibly I'll be getting maybe some of the left-handed, the scissors that can work for both left-hand and right-handed children later, maybe in another 3 weeks or so. But if there's anything specific that you need, please let me know. All right, let me see. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, any questions from the parents, specific questions that you can quickly write up so that you can respond to them?
Or comments or anything that wasn't clear? Yeah.
Yeah, yes, just to also mention, some of these investments are great long-term, not just for this season.
Yes.
And so these are things that are not just for this home learning, but even when school formally resumes, it gives you, this is part of just engaging your child at home and fostering growth long-term. Yes.
Okay.
Anything else, Neema, before I also bring in Audrey to just share a couple of things? Yes.
From me, I don't think I have anything else. I think maybe just to mention, even with all the resources, and all the different supplies, just keep in mind, especially if you have younger ones, to make sure everything is in a safe space. Safety in the home is always very key. So if you have, small things that a child can put in their mouth, make sure those are always stacked on the higher shelves. Even things like paint, children can get very curious. So, even as you have all these things, just be very conscious of, safety in the home. All right.
Okay, thank you, Neema, for that. I hope parents were, feeling inspired. As she said, some of these things, not to really feel overwhelmed about them, but to just buy, little by little. And in cases where you have multiple children, they'll always come in handy, for many years to come. So as a school, we'll send what we can, in relation to what the teachers will be teaching. So we'll try to send as much as we can, but also encourage you to supplement where you can in just the little things, especially for the afternoon, like the puzzles, things like that. Children really enjoy such activities. And like say the big piece ones can even be a family activity, for everyone involved. So that there's a lot to do when people need to be indoors. Yeah, anything?
Yeah, but just as she was mentioned, also view, I know some of us are able to go to to the Elimubox website. She also has the Zazi page. I think we sent the link. It also gives great examples, especially I liked it for the science project activities you can do at home, because that's an area where, especially most of us in Africa, find a challenge to sort of think through, but very easy examples to be done. Of course, it also inspires us to still look out on YouTube and elsewhere. What I like most about her sites are things that through she can be able to help us get some of those things, or that are easily available around you. So among the things also is just being creative. Two highlights that also came from what she shared last week, to just remind us, because most of what she has shared, some of the do's and don'ts, we'll be able to send also a few more. And so that comes under the skills, because many of us wonder, we are not skilled as parents, but the first skill that we learned last week is that the biggest skill is a shift in mindset that I am able to educate the child, because by the time the child is brought to Marisha, they are talking, they're communicating, so you've already taught them significantly, so you are competent enough to teach a child. And then another key highlight that was mentioned is just also communicate to the child that there are many ways of learning, because almost all of them push back in terms of this is not what teacher said, or this is not how they teach, but just to encourage them that there are many ways of learning. The main way to skin a fruit or to peel a fruit from the top or from the bottom. And the good thing even that it also starts to teach them, even they themselves will come up with ways. There's a parent who was sharing with us within the week that they found it interesting that their child was actually showing them another idea of how to do a concept different from what the teacher and the parent thought. So that just encourages them that there are many ways of learning. Yes, I think that. Anything else? Yes.
Okay, so for the older kids, we've been working on creative writing. So the children have been writing their own story. That has been a very exciting process for them. But we are almost done. So the final picture will look something like this. I hope you can see. Yeah. So that's how it should look eventually. But as you can see, it's quite a process. So for now, yes, so this is will be their first publication. Is that the word? Yes. So I want to encourage all the parents of children that are doing this project, the older ones mostly, to send the first draft by Monday, so that by the time we open school, we'll have finished this project, because it needs to come to teacher Anne, and then she sends it, she types it, she sends it back so that the children have time to draw, and then we bring it, draw in color, then it comes back to school so that we can laminate and bind it. So we are behind schedule because we needed the drafts in by last week Tuesday. So I've requested Miss Anne because she has many stories to do, that we can use today and tomorrow to catch up, so that on Monday all the drafts can be in for us to finish this process quickly. Yeah, so thank you. And thank you for the parents who are working behind, with the kids to make sure that this is done. Yeah.
Yes. A couple of questions, yes. Also to mention, yes, we also to thank Teacher Anne for that great thing. The interesting thing, some parents are saying that they're challenged that their preschool child has written a book before they have written a book. It's probably the situation for 98% of most of us. And so it's a great challenge, but of course it inspires us greatly. And probably the reason we all struggle to, some of us who have always dreamed of writing books have struggled to, is because this is not something that was developed in us early. And so now this becomes a lifestyle. And so we just encourage you to go the extra mile. Even for those children who may be a bit lazy on it, just motivate them to get it across. And I know once it's done, of course, they become very proud when they eventually see it, because sometimes they may not envision it fully. And so try your best to just envision them that they're actually writing a story and that they can write books just as they read others' books. So it's very exciting. To also mention, I know there are a couple of questions that are coming in about, yes, we had mentioned we'll be using the Google Classroom platform. Yes, it will be for all the ages, though for some of the younger ages, especially PP1 and the play group, PP1 and below, most of the engagement will be in a meeting setup, which will be an enablement plugged into Google Classroom. On Tuesday, the webinar on Tuesday will be specifically focusing on that. Within the Marisha community, we have a few parents who will be supporting us in that. And so they'll be able to equip us. We've been going through equipping also as a management and also as a teachers. And so they will be able to answer all the questions. But yes, so a couple of things to add on the same. So all of us, we encourage all of us to just get on board with that. Two things that we also ask you to ensure that whatever device you're using, ensure that you just have Google Chrome. The advantage of Google Classroom is it just works. As long as you have Google Chrome, the browser, you should be good to go. That's the first thing. Second thing is to encourage all of us, this not just to encourage, that we will need all of us. We'll be sending out a survey. We had mentioned that as we were starting off. We were mentioned that as we were starting off, that we will be sending a survey so that we need to just support you as the Marisha virtual team. We have a Marisha virtual team that is working through behind the scenes to just know what are the dynamics at home in terms of for different situations. Some of us, we find situations where both parents are still going to work. And so for those situations, some advice it can give. Sometimes, I know through the COVID situation, we are doing a lot of social distancing. But if for any way you can find, even if it's a young person, a cousin who can come alongside to support, it will be of great advantage, because as they're starting off, even for the older children, they'll need quite some support to log on and off the platforms. I know some of us probably have a situation where it's just a DM. For many parents are saying this, it's maybe a challenge. So at least with the survey, you can be able to see how to just converse with you. Secondly, the devices that you have at home. For many of the children, they were using phones. We would encourage to be able to get, even if it's a tablet. Of course, we're avoiding breaking the bank. We'll send you a guide on the same. The advantages, because in the long term, these are things that what the COVID has done also for us in Marisha. Coming into the new year, in January, we were actually to go into full digital learning. And so even some of the guides will send you, we were preparing to be able to send you at the beginning of second term, so that some of them you start purchasing in this second term and third term. So this was not just for the COVID situation, but we're preparing ourselves. So we'll send you the ideal Marisha that we need to prepare for January. And then now, what alternatives do you have also in that sense? The other thing to also mention, you also need to open a Gmail address. Of course, most of us have a Gmail email. So you'll also be confirming on the survey form which is your primary Gmail address. Secondly, you will need to open a Gmail address for every child that is child-friendly. A Gmail address that is child-friendly, child specific, which means every child needs a Gmail address, which is actually great. Make it exciting for them, as they can have a picture, put a profile picture for them. But when you're opening for them, make sure you get one that is for the children. We can send you a link number for somebody who can assist you with the same to ensure that happens. Because the reason we're saying the one that is child-friendly, it has firewall so that it protects them from anything online that is not child-friendly. And so we ask you to do that. Yes, I think that we shall also be sending you an email later today with the reviewed fee structure for this term. Just the reductions that we'll be able to do. We tried our best. We tried to make it as little as possible because of the situation we are in. And so we've been cracking our mind together with the finance team. And so we shall send you that structure today. We actually wanted to mention that and what shall be, what it covers mainly is 2 or 3 things: tuition, the resources that we are intending to send. Of course, some of those have been a challenge for us because some of those resources are shared in the classroom, but now we have to improvise and see how we shall send a resource pack for each child, and a few other things that we shall be covered there. We shall send across. Yes, we shall also send you those of us in the Marisha community that shall be assisting us in terms of this season for Marisha at home. Because now there's some certain roles we have spread out to different people to be able to communicate accordingly. Yes, we shall send you the links. We send them on email. I'll try and get some of them here and paste them here so that you can quickly go there for the Zazi Show links. We sent them on email yesterday for both the Elimubox Facebook page and the Zazi Facebook page, but I shall post them here as we continue, hopefully, as I try to source them. But you just go to Zazi, I think Zazi KE, if I'm not wrong, Zazi Show. But then, yes.
Yes, I've just posted the YouTube one.
Yes.
And then Facebook, it's just look for Zazi Show.
Yes, Zazi Show on Facebook. She's pasted the YouTube link there, so you can quickly just copy it. Yes, we try to finish by 8:30, so we want to finish ahead of time if possible. So I think that is those are the main things. Anything else that you want to add?
Maybe I can add or reinforce the emails, the children's emails. It would be fun to involve them, especially the older ones, so that they can own it, and that it's a great experience as well. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay. To also encourage you, you can reach out to us even as we continue. We'll also be sending you a couple of more links to just share a few more information. So for today and Monday, we shall send quite some information to encourage you that on these webinars, and especially the one that you're doing on Tuesday. I know some of us, we thank all of the parents that were able to log on. I know there are some who didn't log on maybe when they figured that we'll still send this webinar link. But to encourage for the 2 remaining sessions, we encourage for us to just log all of us. We require that please to get as full attendance as much as possible. The Tuesday one, because for that one, we will be guiding, we'll see how much to guide regarding to the online platforms. So I think that will be important for us to be able to do that. And we shall be able to reach out to you on what we can be able to do before then. But we just request for maximum attendance for the remaining 2 webinars. I think this is probably the final one. Probably we shall converse with Neema, but I think she's basically done in terms of her presentations. So she was to facilitate for us for these 2 sessions. So the remaining ones we'll do in-house, but there are quite a number of things we'll communicate. But next Saturday, we'll still see how to facilitate even from the Zazi, from the Elimubox resource platform, still communicate during the final. So 2 more webinars coming up, Tuesday and Saturday next week. Tuesday evening from 8 p.m., where we are assuming everyone will be settled in by 7 in terms of curfew time. I know it's a challenge for some of us. It's usually crazy in the evening, but just work out your schedule so that you have at least an hour on Tuesday evening from 8 to 9 to join us on this platform. Okay. Anything else you may have forgotten?
Yeah. Thank you everyone for showing up, and we keep the conversations going.
Yes.
Okay. And thank you for hosting me. I've really enjoyed preparing for this, and I look forward to engaging more with your parents.
Yes.
Thank you, Neema.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you then. Okay, then bye-bye.
Everyone, have a great day. Have a blast. Enjoy, even though it's a crazy season for all of us. I know it's a gray weather, but we thank God for everything. And so looking forward to see you one more time on Tuesday. Thank you, Neema, one more time. I know we'll be seeing you again. Hopefully.
All right.
Thank you so much. All the best. So everyone, enjoy your day. Thank you.